Stop right there. You know that drawing tablets are essential to any part of graphic. Well, I don't know what GFX stands for, but you know, it's needed. But you also know that they're expensive. Well, what if I told you, yes you, that you could have a free drawing tablet? And all you had to do was subscribe. Wouldn't that be nice? There's just one problem. I don't have any money. But there's a solution. If you subscribe right now and like the video right now, eventually I'll be able to afford it. And if you look here, you can see that nobody's subscribing. There's people are watching my videos, but I could have like 4,000 subscribers right now, but I don't because no one subscribes. Just subscribe. So bruh. Alright, I'm back. So interesting. I'm gonna be trying to commentate more than I usually do. I looked at some of my old tutorials and I stopped the video before I even finished. So that was interesting. It was an interesting choice. So I have my references, and I think we're gonna try to go for one of these poses here, with like a nice blue sky in the background. And I guess I'll start trying to explain my choices better now. Blue's a very vibrant color. It pops a lot. And then I think if we contrast it, we could use the white clothing, and we'd be able to get some really nice looking shadows, with some good old color theory. As for the pose, it might be a bit hard to translate this into a Roblox character because of the hands being positioned that way. And the outfit's also a bit difficult because it has these wrist kind of bands, I guess. But we will do our best. Um, yeah, so I think starting off with just the sketch, trying to find a good size. I think this right here is a good size for our head. And just starting with a square, because what is a square but a very, very weird cylinder? Let's see. So yeah, if we had our head about there, I think that takes up a good amount of the screen. We could change the size a bit, and let me also go to the kneaded eraser. About that size, maybe here. And let's try to find this. There we go. So we're gonna have it at an angle like that. Then we're gonna work on the body. The center line is here for his face, right? So his head's tilted a bit. This might be a bit tricky. But if we can kind of just throw in shapes and scribbles until we see something pop out. Not liking anything that's coming out right now. Let's go back here. I think we're tilted too much. Oop. Not that. I think we're tilted too much. I might tilt the whole sketch later, just because I like the angle. Yeah, we were tilted too much. So, just gonna start with a box. And again, the proportions of the character are the torso's 2x2 and the arms 2x1. So if this is the torso, then this is the arm, and the head's right here. And the legs are also 2x1. So the hands come up at the center, like here-ish is where they meet. So the shoulders are here. They're going to be pivoted a bit. And let's try to draw in our elbow. Trying to get, I think I want it to pivot here. I'm just going to start with lines. So the inner lines, kind of like a wireframe. So I want like one arm to go like this. The other arm isn't going to be seen much, but it's going to go like that. Yeah. It's kind of looking hunched right now. I'm gonna rotate it. Try to find something that looks better. I'm also going to, real quick, get rid of this. I think that his torso being kind of upright's important for the shape, or not the shape language, but the flow of the piece. So I think something like this. So we're going to try to tilt his head. We might just have to redraw the head, but that's fine. It's just a box. Yeah, we are going to have to change some things about the head. We're going to try to give him a more lax pose by having, basically, if this was the torso, right, and the head's here, by having the top of the torso go down like that at an angle, like a house, the character will be more relaxed. And then if it was like stiff, it's a bit more stressed. And if it's like that, I don't even know what that is. And I think the relaxed pose is very important, especially for something like this where Ten Shinhan is obviously the most powerful character ever. I'm gonna start blocking out some anatomy, just again throwing shapes out, and I'm gonna try to work my way up the arm. Um, and I have a tutorial on my channel that goes over kind of the anatomy that I'm basing this off of, but I'm really just freehanding because I've drawn this a lot. So the bicep is going to be here. This is where the shoulder's going to come in. It's going to be really janky. This arm's going to look way too long. We're going to try to start our shoulder earlier. Okay. Now I think I'm going to draw some of the chest going towards... Actually, I got to look at my... Yeah, we will see a bit of that. So just a bit of the chest. And then after this, I think I'm going to do the second arm, and then I'm going to try to make the face look sharper. Something like that. And then let's work on the head. I think for the thing he's doing, the Neo Tri-Beam, this is like a very gradual curve. Usually it's more up. His hands would be more up here. I think if we look at our reference, we'll see, yeah. He just looks like a villager right now. That's not what we're drawing. We'll see if we can cheat here and just grab this with our lasso tool. Bring it up a bit. That'll give us a nice start. I say nice start, this looks terrible. But that's where I want my hands to be. So let's see what wizardry we have to work here. This is going to look like a mess. Actually, it's turning out. We're going to try to have like a separation between the hands here. Because it looks like he's scheming. There we go. And let's add our muscles back in. And it looks like our arm's going to be more like this. So before, if we looked at our character, this is going to be flipped. The arm starting like this, right? With the shoulder here and the bicep here. But now that his arm is rotated, the shoulders gonna, like the muscles of it are here, and the bicep is here. That leads into the inside of the elbow. Let's draw our clavicle back in. That looks odd. There we go. I think we can make this a bit bigger. Something like that. Does he have a cape? Kinda? Looks like it. Okay, so I think the composition of the piece is gonna be kind of, we'll have like a rich, ooh, yeah, rich blue background, and then I'm gonna have his cape be like, what is that? His cape is going to be here, right? And then obviously he'll be colored in normal colors. I don't know why I said normal TN colors. And I think that'll look good. Okay, so let's go back to our sketch. And it's time to add the details in. So I think I'll start with his clothes. Uh, he has kind of like a mix of a cape and a scarf going on. Um, and then he has kind of like looks like it's a gi under that. It's like a really clothy one though. So try to mimic that. So I think I want cape to be here. So this area will be skin. And then let's start building it up with kind of sharp shapes. Erasing what's not needed. Again, I want to have it glowing. You can watch me struggle to draw this. My goodness. Goes that way. Creases there. Okay, and now we have to draw. He has this gi on. It's kind of droopy. So it's going to crease here. Tension meets at the end here. Definitely going to have some of this business. Then I want this to be more. Oh, that looks like a mess. This is making it look too blocky. What am I drawing? My goodness. So, okay, now it does bunch up. Not crazy. So this is actually three things. First of all, we have the darker, more scrunched up piece, the green. Then we have the droopier white. This is clipping. Okay, it's like squeezing his arm. I wonder if I can use the liquefied tool here. I suck at using this. Kind of, there we go. Drag it out. Does that look dumb? Nope. Okay. Okay. Then he has the armbands, which I might skip. Or I guess I could sneak in like this. Yeah, okay. And this is dark. This is the green. I'm just adding in these to remind me what color things are, so don't mess that up. Start from the armband. Okay. Now all that's left is the belt, the rest of the green. That. Go. And then it's time to draw the head. Or face. He's bald. I don't like drawing bald people, no offense to them. I also don't like drawing Dragon Ball characters. Because I can never get their eyes right. So I'll be going back to my reference image a lot. Sometimes I start with eyebrows just to get like a scope of the size of the face. I find they're pretty easy to draw as well. I mean, they're kind of just big old blocks. For the eye, don't overcomplicate it, I guess. You have like, it's basically a circle with two lips on it, right? So if we have our circle here, we have one lip like really low, and one lip very nonchalant. I hate myself for saying that. And then draw the dot on the eye. And then we can erase our guidelines. And we can do the same thing here. I'm not going to try to do Dragon Ball eyes. A fun thing about eyes, if you are drawing it on a face, which I would assume you are, if you have a line that wraps around the face, then the bottom and top of the eye always match up, so you can get the size better. And another fun thing about eyes is if you're drawing them, let me, oop, not that one. Like at a 3/4 angle, sometimes it can be hard to get the sizes right, but if you have your two eye circles, then as long as they're actually circles, then the dots will be in the same place on each circle. They might not be the same size, but they'll be in the same place. And that can help you get your pupils aligned. This is looking very, very cursed. I'm going to see if making the eyes bigger helps. I'm going to select both of them, so when I scale them, they'll keep being the same size. It looks like it will help a bit. Gonna move this one back over to the left now. There we go. I'm also going to make his eyes more dark dots. Okay. And then I'll just do that for the nose. And there we go. That could be moved up a bit. Okay. Now that we have our face, the shape of the head's a bit off. Again, this is just because I'm drawing a bald person, really. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about this too much, because the hair would cover up top of the head, but we don't have that luxury. Okay. Okay, things I want to fix. This cape doesn't look right. I'm going to draw it going more like down. There we go. This arm looks a bit off. I think it's just this right here. Yeah. This white cloth, like sleeve, it's higher than this one. That's about it. Okay. Time for the line art. Oh boy. Okay. I'm just gonna use the default G pen on a new layer for the line art. This just comes with Clip Studio Paint. I forgot to mention when I was doing the sketches, but all of the brush IDs are right here. You can, I think if you go to the Clip Studio like asset store website, you click on anything and then you replace the ID number and the URL with one of these numbers. Um, this one I won't be using because it costs money. Um, but any of these numbers, it'll take you to the asset and then you can download them. This one's free, and this one's free, and that's all I'm gonna use. I'm not even gonna use this one. But let's start the long grilling process of line art. I don't really have like a technique or anything. Um, I do give some pointers on line art in my anatomy video, but it's really nothing much. Um, but line art is a big deal, and I would watch some videos on like normal art to learn about it. Um, I'm probably not going to be talking too much during this, so I'm just going to speed it up. So when you're working on tight bits, like really a lot of folds in clothing, um, you'll end up with some really dark areas. Uh, and generally, I tend to just make them completely shadow, just like completely black. And this just adds some good depth to the piece. Um, so now that I'm on the arm, you can see kind of some of the folds that I've left myself in my sketch, and I'm just gonna go over those. Try to be thin when you do though, because, um, or at least, okay, I'm not thin right now, but um, don't go too rough because we do plan to paint these, and we can always paint over the lines, but uh, it's just a bit easier if we don't like fully, if like we fully enclose all these shapes, then it'd look really weird, right? If we did that. But if we leave open bits on the kind of softer transitions, then it'll make our lives easier when we're painting. This perspective isn't making sense to me. Um, his hand's kind of like a diamond shape right now. Um, that's not very good. Um, so I think we need to change this angle like that. That should fix it mostly, and then this needs to come in a bit harder. Yeah, so now it's more square. I think it's square enough that I can sleep at night, so that's good enough for me. Now that I'm moving to things that are further away, I'm going to be using a smaller brush size. I'm not sure how noticeable it'll be on video, but the lines are just going to be smaller, thinner. And this is just to give a better sense of perspective. Ugh. Oh, we're done. Um, all right, it's time for the grayscale. All right, it's finally time for the most fun part ever, the grayscale. Um, I have a nifty hotkey in the tool I'm using that just lets me make all this grayscale. But if you don't, I mean, there's a billion ways to make something grayscale. Um, and I'll explain what we're doing in a sec. Let's see, another way, if you have an image in Clip Studio Paint at least, you can go over to the right. So where is it? I don't see the button. There it is. You can click this here, change this layer color to black, and it'll make it grayscale. Um, and you can toggle it on and off. It's best to get a kind of cell shaded one. Something like this where the colors are kind of drowned out by light is not good because you're going to get inaccurate values. So let me explain the process. So the general idea is we're breaking up the coloring into the grays, and then we're adding the colors in. Why is that? And we're adding the colors in afterwards. So, for example, if I have, I don't know how fast I can do this. If I have a ball, hello? It, hello? Oh my God. Oh, I drew it. That's just impossible to see it. Here, if I have a ball, and let me grab the airbrush tool. If I go ahead and I shade that ball, um, then I can add a layer above it and make that a color layer. And then now any color that I draw, oh, if I also make it a clipping mask, will be projected onto it. And look at how easy it is. Wow, beautiful. So yeah, there are some things, I guess. So if we, let me real quick, just, I don't know how that's going to show up in the video, but I took a screenshot. So in Clip Studio Paint, things are separated into hue, oh, this is not going to be visible. Hue, there is saturation and value. So the hue is wherever you are on this color wheel, and that tells you if it's green, if it's red, if it's blue. Uh, and then there's the saturation, which tells us how far left or right it is, and the more to the right it is, the more potent the color will be, and as you go left, it'll get more drowned out. Then there's the value, which is the vertical component, which is how dark or light it is. So what we're doing is we're splitting it up. So we are starting by drawing just the values, and then we're adding the hue and saturation on top. And the reason we're doing it like this is because once we figure out our values, okay, so number one, it's easier to draw values. Our brains are better at it naturally to be drawing values in just black and white. And secondly, we can change the colors whenever we want, and we can change the values independently. And so it just gives us more control over what we're drawing, and just makes our lives a whole lot easier. So that's what we're doing. So the first thing to do is to get a selection outside of your drawing and then invert it so that you can fill in everything inside. So on a layer below, you're just going to have white. There we go. And then here, you can do two things. You could either start splitting every color into its own layer. So for example, all of the dark greens um, from here would have their own layer, right? And then you can color pick the green, right? I'm in the wrong place. There we go. And that's the value for your green. That's the base value. And then you can fill in any gaps. Or if you want to be a bit more precise with things, if you're not as lazy as me, you can break like every individual piece into its own layer. Or if you're really as lazy as me, you can do everything on the same layer and deal with the consequences later. It's not recommended. I'm not going to do it in this video because I don't want to set a bad example. Um, but you could. You could. Also realizing I forgot that he has a bit of green that pops out. Oh, okay. Ah, I drew this wrong. That's fine. We can just draw that in real quick. Okay, now that's in there. Let's add it to our green layer. And if you're getting any things where you try to fill it and it feels like way more, like you feel like here and it feels like everywhere, right? Or you feel like here and it goes like that, you know. It's because you have gaps in your lines. You'd have like something that looks like this probably. And you can either fill those in, you can actually like go back to your line art and fill those in, or you can have a like a temporary layer above. and use like a different color just so you know where it is. You can use a different color. Well, let me actually make it issue. You can use a different color to patch it, and then you can get rid of it later. But I would recommend just changing your line art. That's the best practice. Okay, let's get in our base values, and I'll explain the next step. Here, I don't really like the value they gave me, so I'm gonna go with a lighter one so that I can add texture to it afterwards. And it's important on the eyes to not do a pure white. Should go for like a bit of a darker color, just in the value, of course. Still black and white. Then there we go. Oh, not quite. There we go. Okay. I think I'm gonna see a square cutout in his skin. Yep, okay. Not quite. And there we go. I'm sure I'll find something else later. Oh, oh, oh. Yep, there it is. There's the thing that I found later. My apologies if I do this again. Uh, Hopefully that's the last one. I'm also gonna remove this. Oh, that looks really janky. Okay, so now it's time for the actually fun part. This is my favorite part. We are gonna be adding all the shading. Yes. Oh, this is such a fun part. Um, so we're going to start by making a folder, and then we're gonna put all of this stuff we just made. Come on. In the folder. And then we're going to make a new folder above that. We're going to set the folder to multiply in the layer mode here. And multiply is basically going to take whatever value you have and it's going to darken the value below or whatever layers below it by that value. So if we have that, and then if we, okay, that's a bad example. Okay, I can't really show you um, on, let me, real quick. Okay, we have this orange, and if we have above it this blue, and then if we set the blue to multiply, you can see it makes it darker, and this is what's used for shadows. But we are only going to use it in black and white, at least for now. So I'm going to go to my favorite pen ever, or favorite brush ever rather, the Softish paintbrush. Oh my gosh. I'm going to link it in the description. And we're just going to go to black as our color. And we're going to start with the like green cloak. Why not? So we're going to select all that. I'm a bit too lazy. We're not going to select anything. You could also, if you want to be a bit easier, actually, I'll do the green with that, with this. So we're going to make a layer just above this green, right? And we're gonna make it a clipping layer, clipping mask, whatever. And this basically makes it so that whenever you're drawing, you can't draw outside of where those pixels are. So that makes it so that when we're shading, it's not going to affect the other things around it. Okay, so the first thing to do is to define the direction of our light. I think we're gonna go very simply with just a white light. Uh, you know, we'll have sunlight coming down like this, right? That's an arrow. And so basically everything here, right, is going to be in darkness. I'm using a bad color to show darkness, but we're going to start basically shading those areas that are going to be in darkness. Um, and we're going to do our best to try to keep the texture of cloth when we're doing this. Um, and that can be a bit hard, but let me know if you guys want a tutorial on how I texture different materials. I can't give you like a professional tutorial. I'm not like a professional artist, but I can give you what I do, and what I do seems to work. And I don't know if these are like metal wristbands. They kind of seem like they're like ceramic. I'm just not sure how I should texture those, so I'll just leave it like that. I think that looks fine. Okay, so you can see we're kind of creating uh, like these kind of ways for the cloth to run down. Um, it's not the best way of explaining it, but basically don't go like super flat. Don't just go like, okay, this area is dark, because that's not exactly how it works. I mean, you could do that, but I find adding volume is usually good. Um, yeah, we are drawing in 3D. We're trying to at least. So just use your best judgment, because this is kind of, if you know how ray tracing works, um, computers like predict every single path of light and how it's gonna hit something and where it's gonna go after that. Just try to kind of imagine if light was coming in from this direction, it would hit, like what would it hit? Just try to imagine the faces, and try to imagine the shadows that they would cast. And it takes a lot of practice. Some people are good at it automatically, some people aren't. Some people take a lot more trial and error, but you just have to find what works for you. This isn't really something that you can explain easily in like a tutorial manner. It's more of a personal thing. Okay, we're done with the green. I think I'm just gonna scrap the folder. I think we're gonna go just with what I just did. Let's work on the skin next. So on the skin, we're gonna have a bit lighter shadows and a lot more blocky hexagonal shapes. Um, and this is how we're gonna define the geometry of our face better. Because while he is a block man, um, we want to make him more of a cubey hexagon man. And this is not a clipping mask. There we go. And I'm not explaining like the lighting fundamentals in this video, um, but if you know about things like rim lighting, um, or just other lighting techniques, um, there's like a lot of stuff you can do to make this look better. And there's a lot of techniques you can use while you're drawing to achieve, I guess, a more lifelike finished render. So things like having shadows kind of get, you know, darker at their edges. This being like accounting for the bounce light and accounting for, oh gosh, fake artist, I can't remember the name. Um, oh, this is embarrassing. Subsurface scattering, which is the passage of light through the skin, or just anything really, not just skin, but in this context, is the passage of light through the skin. And that, if you like put your finger over a phone flashlight or any flashlight, it'll be red. Um, that's the subsurface scattering. There's some fun videos on that I recommend watching. Um, it's very useful knowledge about light. So you can see in comparison to our clothes, the shading here is a lot more smoothed out. And if you're feeling up to it, you could go in with like a blend or blur tool and blur out some of these to make it smoother. Um, but I recommend leaving some texture. Don't just make it a big old blur fest. That usually looks amateurish. Okay, some more shading to do down here. Um, if you find that there's not really anything to shade, like if everything would be in the light, that's fine. Still just add some textures, throw some, uh, not necessarily shadows, but um, like a variety of colors or values, rather, in this case, just to make it more interesting and not flat. Okay, we're done with the skin. Now let's move on to the white stuff. It sounded weird. I'll find it eventually. There we go. Okay, so this is very smooth cloth. So again, we're gonna be kind of like the skin where it's not as like rigid uh, as we did with the green cloth. And I think we're just about done already. Yep, I would say we are in fact done. Okay, and now we have any of the red bits. This? No. Uh, oh, this. Let's grab another multiply layer. For belts, you'll usually have kind of like long running pockets of shadow and can't talk, long running kind of bumps that are covered in light. And we're done. Okay, that's, well, aside from the eyes. suppose we will go ahead and so I find just shading the underside and below the brow usually works just fine. So we just go like whoop, whoop, and we can just give some, like remove some of it, make it lighter. There we go. I don't know if I want to, I think that's fine. Okay. I did spot one thing I wanted to fix up, which is right here. There we go. Oof. Okay. So now it's time for the lighting. Um, for the lighting, I usually go with a, I don't know if it's a weird approach. Um, I'm gonna throw all of our base and our line art in a folder, and I'm gonna get a clip layer and set it to add. And I'm gonna go with a white color on this. And I'm just gonna use an airbrush tool. And go over the light areas. Okay. Now it's in the add in the colors. So we're just gonna have a folder that's set to color, and we can use all of the. Oh, let's also, of course, grab our awesome TN image, paste that bad boy in. What the heck? Oh, it's a color. Okay, there we go. Hello, TN. So we're gonna just start. Well, that's actually the wrong color. It'd be this. Yeah. So we're gonna see our color layer. Gonna select the area, click the fill button, rinse and repeat. So make a new color layer, grab our color, select the area, click the fill button. This isn't the same color as our reference that we were basing it off of. I'm gonna quickly see if I can find a better reference image with some not drowned out colors. Okay. I'd also like to point out, I've noticed the eye is wonky, and I'll notice this usually late into a piece, but this left eye is not looking the same place as the right eye. This is pretty annoying, but fixing it isn't that bad. If we just select both the layers that the eye and the line art are on, go ahead, select it. There we go. Now I can go back here. There we go. Doesn't look as wonky now. Okay. So I found this. Which hopefully has more accurate colors. Promising that this is actually green. Although I am colorblind, so, is it really? I don't know. There we go. That looks more like it. Okay, I'm just gonna do this real quick. Okay, now we're gonna grab that nice blue color. Really liked it. There we go. Gonna delete our arrow for that. And I forgot something. Wonderful. Okay, we're gonna tone down that really bright overlight that we had. Just a little bit. There we go. And I think I'm gonna start painting over this a little bit to try to get some more unique colors in. And this is gonna be just on a normal layer on top. And it's gonna be more, I'm just gonna be playing around, trying to get something to look good. Um, so we'll see how this goes. But I think it'll go pretty good. There's really no method to this. Um, if you know color theory at all, I'll probably look like I'm botching it really badly, and that's because I am. Um, I'm not trying super hard right now. I'm more so just imagining what might look nice and throwing it in the piece. So I'm just going and trying to add things like or not anti-aliasing, subsurface scattering, fixing up any shadows that I missed, adding some more color to things, maybe adding some darker bits where I think I want the shadow to be more intense. As we can see here, or maybe making the shadow less intense in some places. And substituting like value for a contrast, like separating a contrast and value. Not separating. Drawing and talking is kind of hard. Substituting a contrast in value for a contrast in hue or saturation is kind of a fun way to display light. So I guess you could call this section of the process dramatization, kind of just making everything more, if that makes sense. Here I'm trying to give this more of a metal look than it had previously. Kind of failed, but it looks okay. I'll do it over here too. Really what this is all about is just trying new things, having fun. If you are doing a commission, that's a bit different. You kind of want to go with what works. But if you're just drawing for fun, then just draw for fun, really. There's not much more to it. So just adding clouds, trying to develop a little background. Going, it's going all right. Um, Now I think I might add an overlay or something, and that can be used just to give the piece more coordinated color. I'll see maybe this sunset one. If I drag that, and this is just playing around. I don't know if this will look good. No, it will not look good. Maybe if it's a screen. That sort of does something fun, but I think more so maybe. Yeah, like a blue sky one. There we go. Okay, so now that we have our pretty much finished piece, we get to make it even better, maybe, by throwing this in Photopea and cranking around a bunch of different settings, and we'll see if it looks good. So I'll meet you there. All right, so I went ahead and I exported my drawing as a PNG and I threw it in Photopea. I'll just be showing you. So if we go to here to filter and we go to camera raw, there's a whole bunch of settings that you can play around with. Some of them you may not be playing around with as much. I don't really like this dehaze one. It makes things look really gross. But some things like the turning the shadows to be darker or lighter, making the whites brighter, turning up the highlights, turn the highlights down. Turn up the contrast can be fun. You can give it the whole piece a temperature. Um, and you can also increase the saturation of everything. I know a lot of things on Roblox are bumped up on saturation. Um, I mean, that can be good. It gets people to click on your game a bit more. But there we go. I think it looks pretty good. If I were to change some things, I think I'd probably add more shading under the neck. Other than that, I like it. It's got flaws for sure. Um, but it was also made I don't know how much time actually. I'll have to check. Um, but yeah, I had fun, and that's what's important. So I hope this helped. If you're able to follow along, if you guys need more directed help, I'd be totally down to give that. But again, I don't know if I've mentioned this in this video, but I'm in college. It's kind of hard to find time to do things like this. So